Here's what most people don't realize. You don't need 20% down to start investing in real estate. In fact, I bought my first property with just 5% down, and yeah, I lived in it. That's called house hacking, and it's hands down the smartest way to build wealth in 2025. No six-figure savings, no need to wait for the market to crash, and the kicker, the longer you wait, the harder this strategy becomes because inventory is tightening, rates are shifting, and the exact properties that make this work, they're not sitting around forever. This is your window, and if I were starting from scratch today, this is exactly what I would do. So if you're sitting there wondering, how do I even get started? Then this video is going to be your roadmap. Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am Tristan, a full-time Edmonton-based realtor, and I've helped quite a few clients break into the real estate game using smart, creative strategies just like this one. And today, I'm bringing you the full blueprint. We're walking through exactly how to house hack in 2025 using real numbers, real properties right here in Edmonton. Whether you're renting, saving, or just sitting around wondering if owning a home is even possible right now, then this video is specifically for you. I'm breaking it all down step by step from finding the right kind of property to financing with just 5% down to actually living in it while your tenants help cover the mortgage. This is the exact playbook that I wish someone had handed me when I was just starting out. And trust me, this isn't theory. I've lived this, I've helped others do it, and I know exactly how it works. So let me break this down for you. At its core, house hacking is when you buy a property, typically with a low down payment, and then you rent out part of it to help cover your monthly costs. It's like turning your home into a mini income stream right from the day that you move in. Now, a lot of people hear house hacking and instantly think that it only works with a duplex or something that's already split into separate legal units. And sure, those are great options, but what I'm talking about today is something way more accessible. House hacking with a detached single family home. Something you can actually find in great neighborhoods around Edmonton without needing a massive budget. So what does this look like in real life? You live upstairs in the main part of the house, and then you rent out the basement, which could be a fully finished suite, a separate in-law suite, or even just a room with shared access. Or you rent out extra bedrooms to roommates or students while still having your own private space. And this isn't just some investor strategy that you see on YouTube from people living in Vancouver, Toronto, or in the States. You'd be shocked at how many solid detached homes already have separate entrances, a second kitchen roughed in, or a finished basement that's practically ready to go. Now, here's the math though. With the right property, your tenant's rent can cover 60 to all the way up to even 100% of your mortgage. Let that sink in for a second. That means that you're either drastically lowering your monthly cost of living, or in some cases, living for free, and all while building equity in your own asset, not paying off someone else's. Before we move on to the next segment, I have a quick question for the comments. Have you ever thought about renting out part of your place? Would you share your home if it meant living for free? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear what's holding you back or what you'd need to feel confident doing it. Okay, so let's debunk the biggest myth in real estate. And this is where most people tend to tap out before they've even started. They'll say, I'd love to invest, but I don't have 80K saved up for a down payment. And listen, I get it. That number sounds massive, and it is. It used to freak me out too. But here's what most people don't know. You do not need 20% down to start building equity in a home. In Canada, if you're buying a property that you're going to live in, even if you're renting out part of it, you can qualify for a mortgage with as little as 5% down. This is a big unlock that makes house hacking possible for regular people. Let's break that down. If you have a purchase price of $450,000, 5% down is only $22,500. And yes, you'll need mortgage insurance, but it's built into the mortgage and it's not paid up front. So your total upfront costs with the closing costs is around $25,000. That's a far cry from the $80,000 that you'd need for that 20% down payment. And here's the key thing. You're not just buying a place to live, you're buying an asset that could generate $1,100 to $1,400 a month in rental income if it has a basement suite or even through just a couple roommates. That income can slash your living costs in half, or in some cases, wipe them out completely. And if you want to get really aggressive with the money coming in, then you can do what we did when we were just starting out and that is to rent out the basement as its own unit and then also rent out an extra room upstairs. We only did that for a little while though, while we were building up the emergency fund for the house account. And now that everything is properly set up, we only have to rent out the basement. But think about that for a second. Would you rather spend $1,800 a month renting downtown with zero return, or spend the same amount on a mortgage where part of that is going to equity and part of it is getting covered by a tenant? That's how house hacking flips the game. And yes, even with 5% down, you're still getting appreciation as home values rise. You're still paying down your mortgage every month, you're building equity, and you're still gaining a bit of passive income, especially if you live there for a year and then rent out the whole property later on. So don't get paralyzed by that 20% number. That's an investor rule for non-owner occupied properties. This strategy, it's for real people buying smart and living smarter. All right, now before we dive into some actual homes and show you how this plays out with real listings right here in Edmonton, make sure you stick around to the end because I'm walking you through the numbers, the layout, and exactly how much rent you could expect to pull in kind of from each option. It's gonna give you a full picture view of how house hacking actually works, not just in theory, but in real life. And hey, if you're into this kind of content, real advice, local examples, and real estate strategies without all the bullshit and the sales tactics, then hit that subscribe button. I drop videos like this every week to help you get started, move smart, build real wealth through real estate. Okay, so let's zoom in and talk about what actually works here in Edmonton right now. So if I were house hacking, again, starting over from scratch, this is exactly how I would set up my search for the ideal type of property. So I already said earlier, we're gonna do this for detached single family homes, and I'm gonna do a max price of $440,000. We're going to wanna choose a location that has a strong rental demand, but for now, we'll leave that because it's easier to filter out by location once all the options come up. So in order to get straight to the good properties, I'm gonna come down here and make sure right off the bat that whatever property I find has a separate entrance. And then to narrow it down even further, I'm going to make sure that it already has a second kitchen just so that I can get straight to renting it out as soon as I get the keys. So we have 37 options. Let's take a look at where some of these are. So right off the bat, these ones that are really cheap, I'm just going to ignore straight off the bat. And as a matter of fact, I'm actually going to come back in here and put in a minimum price to try to get some of the places. And you know what? Let's actually narrow this down even further because I want to find places that are in good shape already. Stuff that I don't have to do a lot of renovation to make it work. Okay, so I'm gonna start looking at some of the communities here just based off of my own knowledge, and I will kind of start to narrow down my options from here. So scrolling down here, the first thing I notice right here is that this one's in Ritchie, obviously, and that's a nice neighborhood. So I'm gonna take a little bit of a closer look. 1,200 square feet, which is good, but there's only one bedroom above grade and 3 bedrooms in total. So this is definitely not ideal. The more bedrooms, the more you can rent out each room if that's something you want to explore. And also it was built in 1946. So that's extremely old. You're gonna see some old options here, but this is extremely old. So I'm gonna just keep going, and one that's right at the top of our budget. Again, not ideal because it's right at the top of our budget, but it's in Sakaw, which is a nice community in the southeast, I guess, kind of below Mill Woods. 3 bedrooms above grade and 5 bedrooms total. So this is already a much better situation to be in. This means that, you know, if you rent out the basement, you're going to be able to rent it out as a 2-bedroom unit at least, and 2.5 bathrooms, which is even better. And it was built in 1981, so it's definitely a lot newer than that other option. So this is going to be one that deserves a closer look for sure. Okay, so opening it up, first things first, I'm gonna check out some pictures, make sure it's in good shape. So as you can see, the interior is nicely redone. It looks like it's in good shape. Now let's take a look at that basement area. Okay, so right here, you can see that separate entrance, another door here for extra privacy. So that's gonna check that box for me. That's a good second entrance by the looks of things. So in the basement, you can see it's really nicely redone, which is gonna bring in a bit of extra rental income. I'm not seeing a stove right off the bat, but there is a hood fan. So I'm wondering if they just didn't put it in or if it was gonna be a little bit harder to put it in. So I'm still gonna keep this in mind, but I'm already starting to wonder why isn't there already a stove in here? Looks like a good size room, updated really nicely. Both rooms look to be a good size. Bathroom's done really nicely. Good size. This is another view of that second entrance. Good sized yard. Doesn't look like there's a garage, which is no problem really, unless that's something that you're gonna prioritize. Okay, so maybe it's not ideal, but let's see what it says here. Yeah, so no garage. Taxes aren't too bad either as of 2024. And basement's sitting at just under 11,000 square feet right here. So this is still a really good option. I definitely want to look into, I would want to go take a look at it in person, see it with my own eyes, see if it's going to really work and explore the area, which we can just pop up the map and do a preliminary search here and just double check to make sure. Okay, so we're close to the Henday, just below Mill Woods. Could be near a nice little park. It's hard to say, but I'm liking what I'm seeing so far, as long as it's not too close to the Henday, which is something that I would be able to, go and see when I'm viewing the place. So this is a solid option. So let's move forward with this option. Let's do a bit more due diligence here. So we're gonna take the purchase price, $439,900, and I'm just gonna come over here and enter it straight into my mortgage calculator as if I was paying list price. Okay, so with a 5% down payment, you're gonna see that your upfront cost is just under $22,000. Of course, on top of that, you're gonna have to factor in closing costs. I'd probably budget with a home inspection, $25,000 to $3,000 probably, something like that. But then it's still, you're gonna see, gives you a mortgage payment of $2,237 per month. So I'm gonna go back in here. So we know it's a 2-bedroom downstairs, 1 bathroom. So now I'm just gonna come over here and double check and see if I can get a general idea of what exactly things are renting for in this area. So I see there's one in the area right here, but it's a whole townhouse, so it's not really comparable. So let's see if we got anything available for basement suites kind of in the area. So this is as close as I can get. I mean, it's close enough. And here too. Okay, so this basement is at 1,600. I'm very, very interested to see why that is. Yeah, it doesn't look like anything crazy, so I'll be honest, I think this is a bit overpriced. This is rented out is listed for $1,245 per month. Let's see how these photos of the basement suites stack up. Okay, so it's outdated. So we know that this is an achievable rent, and with the shape that this current place that we're looking at is in, it's a lot nicer. So at this price, it's pretty easy to assume that vacancy is going to be quite low. Because it's in such nice shape, let's just go ahead and up that to around $1,300. So we come back here, we know that we're going to get a mortgage payment of $2,237 per month. So because of that, immediately we're going to deduct the likely rent, which in this case, just to be safe, we'll put it at $1,300. So that pretty well drops your monthly obligation to just $1,000 per month. Now think about this. Most people are already paying over $1,600 a month to rent someone else's property. With house hacking, you can already kind of start to see that you can own your own home and pay less than somebody else who's renting someone else's property. And what makes it even better is that all of this time, while you're saving money to live in your own home, you're building equity and your property is appreciating over time. And that's why I truly believe house hacking is probably the most powerful way to get started with real estate investing right now. Okay, full honesty here, house hacking isn't always glamorous. Let's keep it real. You're not stepping into some HGTV fantasy where everything's perfectly staged, the tenants are angels, and the cash just starts pouring in. You might have to share a wall, you might hear your tenant's laundry running at 10 p.m. or even the vacuum. You could have to answer a text about a leaky tap on a Sunday morning. And yeah, you might need to do a bit of painting, patch a wall, or replace a thermostat now and then. But here's the thing, those small inconveniences pale in comparison to what you're building. Because if you're willing to live a little differently for a year or two, you can totally transform your financial future. And I've seen it firsthand. I myself went from paying $2,200 a month in rent with 4 roommates to paying the same as my portion of the rent while only having a basement tenant in our own home. And since we've owned the home, it's appreciated by almost $100,000 while someone else helped pay down the mortgage. This strategy can help you eliminate your rent entirely or at least drastically cut it. It can help you build equity faster because more of your payment is covered so you can accelerate savings. It also allows you to create a stepping stone. You live there for a bit and then you move on, and now you got a rental property in your portfolio. And here's the best part, it gets easier. Once you've done this once, everything else just starts to fall into place. Your mortgage broker knows your profile, your lender sees a track record, and now you've got some equity to work with. You've got the experience dealing with tenants, maintenance, and cash flow. And now you're not just playing defense, you're actually building. Got the momentum, and that's everything in real estate. So yes, you might have to give up a little convenience now, but what you gain in return is freedom, equity, and options. This is how you stop renting forever. This is how you turn your first home into your first investment. And this is how you start building wealth while you live your life. All right, that's a wrap on this house hacking deep dive. And if you stuck around this long, then you're an absolute legend. But seriously, I hope this gave you some clarity, some inspiration, and a real plan for how you can start building wealth with just one property. If this video helped you at all, or even got the wheels turning, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. I post videos every week breaking down real-world real estate strategies, Edmonton market insights, and step-by-step advice to help you buy smart and invest with confidence. This channel is all about real advice without the pressure, and I'd love to have you along for the ride. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.